No. No, no, no. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me! What's up, guys? Canadian Guy here, and sometimes things just make you go a little bit, crazy. As I was uploading yesterday's video, which just so happened to be a Crash Team Racing video, Crash Bandicoot actually came forward and announced that Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled had surpassed 10 million sales. Yeah, Crash Bandicoot's spin-off kart racer surpassed 10 million sales. This is objectively a huge milestone for this game, and I am so beyond happy to hear that it is still doing so well. But there's a nagging issue, something that's been frustrating me. Simply put, Crash Team Racing is one of the greatest kart racers of all time, and it is still alive and kicking. And I still get into lobbies, even all these years later, and there is still a strong community around this game 6 years after its release and 5 years after Beanox had walked away from supporting the game. But Beanox walked away right when the next generation of consoles started to release. And now we are coming to the closing years of these said consoles, and CTR hasn't been touched. However, out of the clear blue sky, seriously, out of nowhere, because Crash's last posts were literally December 2024 for Christmas and June 5th for It's About Time coming to Game Pass. Crash Bandicoot dropped that Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled had surpassed 10 million units sold. Again, like I said, this is beyond impressive. 10 million units is nothing to snuff at. I don't care what anybody tells you. So I tweeted out that we really could use a brand new CTR and that it would be amazing. But then I looked at the tweet once more and saw the text that came with it. Quote, "Booyah! This one calls for a victory lap." Then we scroll down and see that the official Xbox page actually responded by saying, "This calls for a Wumpa Fruit smoothie, and a Wumpa Fruit cake, and a Wumpa Fruit platter, and a..." Okay. I admit it. The speculation and theorizing brain wanted to burst out of me like a chest burster from Alien. It wanted to take these things of evidence and go running down the street with theories and ideas. But initially, I tried to brush it off. But then I got to thinking some more. Isn't this month the anniversary of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled? If this post was all that was planned, why wouldn't they just wait to post it on the day that it was having its 6-year anniversary? So I decided to just briefly let my speculative and theorizing brain come out to play. What could go wrong? Let me show you what I started to piece together already. Now, the post here says victory lap. And for those who don't know, a victory lap is a term used in motorsports to describe an extra lap of the racetrack after the conclusion of a race. Now, we know CTR is no longer being supported, so you could say it's been concluded. But a victory lap could be seen as some kind of a metaphor of sorts, as a let's do a one last hurrah. Then, when Xbox made this post, it ended with a dash after and. Now, I could be grasping at straws here, but this could be just joking around about the Wumpa theme items and the fact that there's so many items that they wanted to post, or it could be that there was something else that they wanted to say and was left out. But also, Xbox saying that we should celebrate makes me wonder if they have their own idea of celebrating this milestone for a game that hasn't had support in over 5 years, which ties into the timing of the anniversary being this month. This leads me to think that if there is something, anything, and admittedly, I am taking a deep breath of copium here, just put it on my face, big deep breath, so understand that. Understand that this is coming from deeply seated cope. But if anything, maybe we could see some kind of a next-gen port and or update for Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Now, to continue on this copium-filled speculative idea, there was another train of thought that I wanted to chase down. See, there is something interesting with Crash Team Racing in comparison to Activision's other platforming or platforming adjacent titles. Crash Insane, Spyro Reignited, and Crash Bandicoot 4 all came to Nintendo Switch, but never on day one. It would typically be the following year when we saw them ported over. However, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled went to Nintendo Switch on day one. This, in my opinion, was a driving factor to Crash Team Racing becoming the fastest selling Crash game during its launch window of all time. Now, we literally just had the Switch 2 release, meaning we now have all three capable consoles that can handle some kind of a next-gen upgrade or update. In fact, this has been Nintendo's main push as they are trying to resell many games that are simply updates on Switch 1 titles. Now, with this next-gen update, let me get to the biggest request that has been shouted from the rooftops for years: Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for PC. If I had a dime for every time someone mentioned that they want to see Crash Team Racing come to PC, I'd have enough money to fund a CTR sequel. And there was evidence of it allegedly happening, as when the gigantic Nvidia leak that happened years ago came out, exposing dozens of games being in development and or spoiling that there were PC ports coming of already present games, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled was on there. However, it never came to pass, but nonetheless, that Nvidia leak was evidence to suggest that at least something was being worked on, which leads me to my next point. See, this alleged PC port leak was when the game was under Activision's leadership, but now the company is under the leadership of Xbox, literally Microsoft. Additionally, recently, it was revealed that Xbox had a mission to bring many, if not all, Activision games to Nintendo Switch, including the behemoth of a mega title, Call of Duty. So Xbox does seemingly want to play nice with, well, everyone. So, I say this again, while taking a deep, heavy dose of cope, maybe, just maybe, we could see a console upgrade for CTR, increasing the frame rate and resolution, fixing some pesky bugs, assisting with the online play, and maybe, just maybe, a few extra goodies, like skins, and if we are really lucky, a brand new track. Now, if we're gonna dream, let's dream in color, baby! To say the Xbox Online for the game is currently, well, dead is an understatement. I have heard from many that it's quite difficult to get into any game online, but maybe with upgrades to the online play, we could see a crossplay feature implemented so that Xbox fans can get back on the track with everyone else. This would also be a benefit because the game is also now on Game Pass, so now people who are Game Pass members can be able to enjoy the online play. Now, while I'm dreaming in color, the reality is there's a lot of hiccups with, well, the whole idea. For starters, Thomas Wilson, the original director behind Nitro Fueled, is no longer at Beenox. On top of that, we had an anonymous report from last year that suggested that Beenox was wanting to become a mainline developer for Call of Duty, which is kind of a sign to me that the current leadership is not really interested in revisiting an old project that is light years away from that goal. But I think these issues are solvable. But the biggest hiccup, the biggest issue that I don't know if there's a solve for, is the engine that Crash Team Racing is made on. And no, I don't mean the car engines. CTR was made on an old proprietary engine called the Alchemy engine. It was developed by Vicarious Visions in-house and was used for many, many years. However, that engine has now been retired and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled was the final game to use it. And because the engine was made in-house, it's not easy to just hire someone to come along and start working or twiddling with it. It's not like the Unreal Engine or Unity where there is community support and it's open source. It has to be someone who has previously worked on it or with it, or needs to hire a team of people to learn from this person that has worked on it previously. And it's been 5 years since any developer has even touched any game that is ran on the Alchemy engine. It's possible there isn't anyone currently at Beenox who knows enough to take on that task. But there is something else that might give us a little hope. A little cope, a little hope. We'll see how this results. Another game that was made on the Alchemy engine was the Crash Insane Trilogy. Crash Insane Trilogy flexed in 2024 that it surpassed over 20 million sales. However, at the moment, Crash Insane actually does not fully work on the Nintendo Switch 2. If you bought the game physically, you can access it, but if you were to try and get it digitally, you can't. There's some kind of a progression bug, I guess, that causes the game to, well, crash. Pun intended. And it was severe enough that Nintendo had decided to delist the game from the Nintendo store. Now, the team that originally worked on Insane and the creators of the Alchemy engine, Vicarious Visions, has been merged with Blizzard Entertainment. They literally don't exist anymore. They are now called Blizzard Albany, which would mean an entire third party would most likely have to step in to fix the Insane issue. So if Activision wants to make more money on the Switch side of things for Insane and to keep their players happy, they would have to collect or rehire a small team, recrack open that old Alchemy engine, find the issues in regards to the Switch 2, and send out a patch to fix it. If they do that, then that means, hypothetically, that same team could crack open Crash Team Racing and get to work on making a next-gen upgrade of some kind. All this to say that Crash Team Racing deserves more respect from the higher-ups and deserves a new chance at life. If all of this is simply coincidence and there is absolutely nothing in the works for any update or any changes to Crash Team Racing, then I think that this might be a time for the community to finally step up and make their voices heard. When they announced that Crash Team Racing had surpassed 10 million units sold, the absolute public outcry and the absolute public screaming of wanting a new game came out in droves, more than I could have even imagined over on social media. So if, let's say, all of this is in vain, if all of this means nothing, then I think that this would be a great time and a great use of leverage to be able to try and convince the higher-ups over at Xbox or wherever that we want to see life come back to this franchise, whether it be a CTR2, an update, or whatever. I think that this is something that could be used as a jumping point, as a pivot point for those who are fans of this game to be able to get their voices to be heard. Because like I said, this game still has a strong community behind it. So strong, in fact, that I just went to a Crash Team Racing in-person tournament in 2025 and competed in it. I know, right? And it was intense and it was a lot of fun. So if you want to see more of that, you can check out this video right here. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.